What is going on, guys? Taylor, aka Red Ranger 2, and I'm back here with another video. Not a review, despite there being a figurine in front of me. Today I'm actually going to be talking about something I recently rediscovered thanks to my sister. And that is Killer Instinct. Oh my fucking god! How did I not know about this? So, for those of you guys who do not know, whenever I was younger, I was addicted to Killer Instinct. So what happened was, I would go to this place called Kitty Corral, and every week we would go on a field trip to this place called the Ghostly Manor, or as we call it Skate World. And my nana would make sure I went with enough money to rent skates, to play a few games, and to buy food. I never skated, and ask me who was raiding the fridge by the time he got home because he hadn't eaten anything all day. That was me. I hadn't eaten pretty much anything all day, and I was raiding the fridge by the time I got home because I wasted all my money on Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct is honestly, in my opinion, one of the most perfect fighting games of all time. Absolutely love it. And my main man was, as you can see right in front of me here, Fulgore. It's why he's made it into 2 of my top 10 lists before. But, he made it into the top 5, and he made it into the top 10. And the reason why he didn't make it further into the top 10, my childhood memories are not exactly a good thing to go by, considering I recently tried to replay SpongeBob SquarePants Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, and I nearly wanted to break my PS2 in half over my knee trying to deliver fucking Krabby Patties. Yes, that's the kind of rage that was going on in my brain at the time. Anyway, there's something that I recently got introduced, and that is Killer Instinct from 2013. Oh, how did I not know about this game? It's 7 years old. You would think I freaking knew about this game whenever it came out on the Xbox One, but no. I don't think I even got an Xbox One until like 2014, 2015. But even then, you would think I would have heard about Killer Instinct, a brand new reboot of the series with new, improved versions. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. He's fucking badass. How did I not know about this game? Oh, boy, I heard a little bit more about it. I heard that it was a free game at first, and I was like, hesitant of it, and I realized you could only play as one character a day, because it rotated through the different character rosters. But then when I figured out how the game actually was working, where you could buy whatever characters you wanted, and stuff like that, I went all out for it. I have every single character, every single season pass, every single thing that you could possibly have for the game, and it's freaking awesome. I mean, Fulgore is enough to buy this game for. In my opinion, if you're a huge Fulgore nerd like me, Fulgore is enough to buy this game. But something else got introduced to me in Killer Instinct, and that is a little DLC character that got released in the year 2017. And that is Fulgore. Fulgore, for those of you guys who do not know, Fulgore is basically Fulgore before Fulgore. When Ultratech was first making their defensive units for kind of like their own police force, they did not start off with the Fulgore units according to what this new piece of info has given us. They started off with the Fulgore units, which were a lot less advanced in this case, not having the quad plasma claws, but instead having chain gun arms, and having a kind of messed up cyberport, as well as lacking the nuclear reactor that Fulgore has. Instead, they had just a missile silo in their chest. Not that that's already not badass, but it's still pretty cool. And they ran off of a basic AI rather than the mind of Eagle, brother of Chief Thunder, which I think I messed that up whenever I did my original top 10 video. I think I said that he had the mind of Chief Thunder. Sorry. Not really. Anyway, they had a simple AI, and this AI was just like a basic program. Nothing really spectacular, except one of the Fulgore units actually started using its AI to rewrite its own code, give itself unique abilities that none of the other Fulgore units had, and it ended up leading Ultratech to ultimately pretty much shut down the Fulgore line, but then this one Fulgore unit who altered his code to go missing, and kind of has a vendetta against Ultratech. And honestly, hearing about it and relearning Fulgore's story, because I apparently remembered it wrong from childhood, relearning his story, honestly, more than ever, and I'll say it again, I said it once before, I said it twice before, I'll say it for a third time. Fulgore needs his own video game. Fulgore is a character that is definitely worthy of this. He's a robot that has awesome abilities. In the new Killer Instinct game, you can customize the hell out of him. He's just a guy that deserves his own video game. There's not much that you can't do with this. And honestly, I'm going to be doing a bit of the storyline here that I think could work for it. And honestly, a Kilgore DLC alongside a Fulgore game? I mean, Kilgore started off as a DLC. Why not him continue his legacy as a DLC? I mean, it kind of makes sense. But the story I've written in my head is this. When Ultratech finally retired the Kilgore units, when the original Kilgore unit went missing, started doing the Fulgore units, when they gave this thing the mind of Eagle, and it started going out and trying to take down Jago and Orchid and everything like that. When he showed Orchid mercy, Orchid found that strange and eventually allied herself with Chief Thunder. And when she started telling the story of Fulgore to Chief Thunder, he thought it was strange too, that he never heard of a Ultratech machine to show mercy. And Fulgore shows up again, ready to kill Orchid, but Chief Thunder steps in the way and recognizes the fighting style of Fulgore as the same fighting style used by his brother. And reaches out to him in a way, going, Eagle? It makes Fulgore not go berserk, but it makes him glitch out and act on broken machine-like. And so, Ultratech realizes this and they're like, hold on, this isn't good. We need to do something about this. And so they begin to look for ways to retire the Fulgore unit. This is where my kind of fanfiction stuff kind of comes in. Luckily, there is someone who stayed on the Kilgore project and realizes, hey, we can create a advanced enough machine with a simple enough AI that we can't lose control over it. And so they end up combining the Fulgore units and the Kilgore units to create a new series called the Modgore unit. The Modgore unit were modified versions of both the Kilgore and Gore units that could pretty much be modified to however they wanted. They worked off of a modular system, so one could have one chain gun arm and could have a quad plasma claw, or they could have some with just quad plasma claws, whatever. They could do whatever they wanted for these Modgore units. And so the original Fulgore, and so Fulgore here, the old Fulgore units retired and scrapped, and the one that they had invented, well, they just shut him down. They were still looking into possibly how they could remove the traces of Eagle for him, but they shut him down. That was until something went wrong with the AI for the Modgore units. To the point where Ultratech didn't even know, and even Ultratech's robotic CEO, Arya, didn't know what was going on. Arya was actually confused because the Modgore units basically pulled a Terminator and started turning against humanity, the very people they were supposed to be protecting as Ultratech's sponsored police force. What was going on, and they didn't understand it either. But they knew what they could do. Humans were not enough to go against these Modgore units. But what about something that came before them? And so they rebooted good old Fulgore here and sent him after the Modgore units. Unfortunately, at this point, because of all the stuff they've added to the Modgores, Fulgore is kind of not able to keep up with them. He's not as strong, he's not as fast, he's not able to keep up with the new advanced Modgore units, so while he's taken out a few of them, unfortunately he can't keep up with them. And so they actually start tearing him apart, pretty much, and almost completely destroy him. That is until Orchid, Jago, and Chief Thunder end up stepping in and actually saving Fulgore. Chief Thunder using his Native American spirituality to actually connect to the mind of Eagle and not completely bring him back, but basically create a brand new type of Fulgore. One whose prime directive is still to protect humanity, but one who has another directive. Destroy the Fulgore units and bring down Ultra Tech. Come on! Capcom, Microsoft, whoever has the Killer Instinct franchise now. This is a freaking awesome idea surrounding an already iconic fighting character. If you were to handle this in the same way that you've been handling the Resident Evil reboots or the latest Devil May Cry game, honestly, if you were to handle it like you did with those and give it a good beat-em-up style, it would be a really good game. Not to mention a possible Fulgore DLC attached to it, where you get to maybe play as another beat-em-up, or, just throwing this out there, a freaking first-person shooter mode. I mean, Resident Evil for the longest time was a third-person, shooter. Third-person shooting survival horror. Maybe you could have Fulgore's chapter be a third-person beat-em-up, and Fulgore's chapter be a first-person shooter. It could work. Capcom, Microsoft, listen to me. This could make you money and would make a lot of fans really happy. Think about it. But anyway, that is all I got the time for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you will actually consider the Fulgore idea. So, without further ado, this is Red Ranger 2, signing out.